Alright, welcome to the final part of the Gsxr build series. As you can see behind me, the bike is fully assembled, ready to rock and roll. And you're gonna see how in this final part of the video. So last time I left you guys, we had to figure out the FI light issue, the C28 code. We also had to figure out why the bike was overheating. Happy to say that we've got all those issues sorted out and it is going to be finished in this part. So without further ado, let's go ahead and finish it up. Alright, so this is the part that we have to take off. It's where the major coolant hose hooks up to the engine itself, and right underneath here there's a thermostat. That's what I just showed you that we're going to be replacing. There's one screw here. If you could look at the tip here, I already took the screw out. I apologize, it's really hard for me to film at the same time. So there's one there, and the other side of this coolant hose right there where the tip of my other thing is the other screw. So there's one there and then one on the other side. So we're going to go ahead and yank this off. So the housing just pulls right off after you take those two screws out, and here's the old thermostat that was in there, and over here is the brand new one that we're going to put in that we just ordered, hoping this helps solve our overheating issues. Alright, so the new thermostat is in, and just for those that are going to be doing this on their bikes potentially, if you look at the very top of the thermostat, you'll see that little dot there, that nipple dot. That needs to be straight up and down, make sure it's oriented correctly. Let's go ahead and throw this hosing back on there and screw it down. Alright, so the new thermostat's on the bike. We got new coolant in the bike as well. And I just received my STVA in the mail. It is all fixed and good to go. And it came with directions. So we're gonna go ahead and reinstall this. Do it the right way following this right here, because if you do it wrong, it's not going to work and we're going to throw another code. So let's go ahead and throw this on properly. First time we've started the bike since the last time the little mishap happened with the coolant and everything, so I guess we're gonna find out what happens. No more FI light. No more FI light. Oh, that's great. That's good. That's a good sign. Gonna let it run for a little bit, see if the bike overheats at all, and see what kind of stuff we're looking at. Well, my channel is about showing you everything that happens, whether it's good or bad. And this just happened. Trying to see if the bike would get to temp and the fan would kick on. And I got up to about 210, and I'm standing next to the bike, and this coolant hose shoots off, and coolant goes everywhere. All the brand new coolant I just put in. Okay. Back to the drawing board with the overheating issue. Okay, so we're back inside because trying to do some research and trying not to get frustrated about what's going on with the bike. So we have two issues going on. We have the fan's not kicking on when it should, and obviously the bike is overheating. It's not a blown head gasket. I changed the oil, and the oil wasn't milky or anything like that. I'm not getting white smoke out of my exhaust. I think it has something to do with my water pump, possibly. So I'm gonna do some research into the water pump, and then also we have to figure out why the fan isn't kicking on. So we're gonna look into those two things, water pump and the fan. Well, unfortunately the camera wasn't rolling, but we are draining the oil here. That way we can take out the water pump. Before we do that, coolant and oil has to be drained. Just wanted to show this on video as well, because it looks like the engine oil looks like shit because it's in a black container, but in fact no, it's perfect. Again, this engine oil has 0 miles on it. I haven't driven it since I changed the oil, and I believe it was part number 1 or part number 2 of the video. So looks all good, it's perfect, no problems there. So we're gonna go ahead and disassemble the water pump and see what we're working with. This is our water pump. Now that the coolant is drained, obviously our hose is out from what happened earlier. The engine oil is drained. We're gonna go ahead and take this off. In order to get to the water pump and take this off, we have to do a few things. We have to take our shifter bolt off. That's going to pull off. We also have to take this engine cover off as well. Once that's off, we're going to go ahead and pull off these hoses. There's 2 of them. There's one here. And then I believe there's 2 or 3 bolts that are holding in the actual water pump itself. So it's going to be tough for me to film this. I'm going to go ahead and do all of that, and I'll meet you guys in the next step. And that right there is where the water pump inserts into. And if we zoom in here, apologize, it's starting to get dark out here. It's late, just after Easter dinner. But there is a linkage on the other side, which is what the water pump attaches into, and that is the oil pump on the other side. And I'm happy to say that everything looks great. I was expecting the water pump to have some sort of damage, like one of these broken off, not looking too hot, or even something like this female connector being broken and not being able to spin, because that's what connects to the oil pump. I was expecting to see some sort of damage, but it looks great. Looks like it's doing its job. And it also moves freely, if I can do that on one hand. What we're going to do is put the water pump back on the bike, but before we do that, we're going to go ahead and order some new seals. That way we don't have any leakage or anything like that. What we're going to be doing next is addressing the fan, and I'm also thinking about addressing the radiator and getting a new radiator. Now this is a bike I am going to flip, so I'm not trying to spend a whole bunch of money on this, but obviously for the next owner I would like it to be as good as it can be. I want the bike to run smooth. I don't want to have any issues at all, so we're going to go ahead and tackle anything that comes up with this bike. So I think what I'm gonna do is also order a new radiator. It's pretty damaged, but I thought it was gonna do the job. I thought it was gonna be okay. If you look back in part 1 or part 2, I'm not really too sure, when I was stripping the bike down, you could see that the radiator isn't really in the best condition. So water pump is good. Put the water pump back on the bike. And what I'm gonna do is test the fan to see if it's the fan that's faulty or the fan switch itself, and then think about ordering a radiator, because I think I can get one pretty cheap. Alright, so the radiator is completely put together with all new parts here, or at least secondhand parts that will actually work. So first thing, that was a really big thing that we had to replace, was the fan. And this is the old one here, and we went ahead and tested it, and it didn't work, unfortunately. So rather than buying a new fan, I went on eBay and bought a secondhand one that has been tested, that works. We had a little issue with trying to mount this thing properly. This is an aftermarket radiator, it's not OEM, so we actually had to bend these clamps up Here on this side, we had to just take a pair of pliers and bend them up a little bit. That way the radiator would sit nice and flat. And then also here on the bottom, if you could see this screw here was not going to fit into this screw hole. And even if I could get it to line up, it was going to squeeze down the fan too hard to where this wasn't going to spin freely. So rather than just leaving it, because the fan was going to bounce up and down when you hit bumps and stuff, I went ahead and took a rubber stopper and put a screw through the top of it, and this fan isn't going anywhere. It's not going to move at all. And this rubber stopper here, it's not going to chip up the radiator, and it's going to make sure that this stays in place and the radiator is not going to move at all. As you can see, it spins freely. So that's great. The other thing that I went ahead and replaced was this radiator fan switch. This is the old one here. You can see the difference. So the old one, I'm not really too sure if it was bad, but I got that pretty cheap. Got a brand new one for only 10-15 bucks on eBay as well. Another new piece that we got as part of the radiator assembly was a new radiator cap. Now the old one I don't believe was bad. However, I wanted to make sure that everything was really solid, and it came with the actual radiator assembly itself. So this thing's ready to go. We're gonna go ahead and throw some new coolant in it after we get it on the bike. We're gonna go ahead and get it running. Well, this is kind of the moment of truth, to be honest with you. New fan, new radiator, triple checked, double checked, every coolant hose, make sure that it's on nice and tight. Every connection is good. We just put new coolant on the bike. I'm gonna keep the radiator cap off when I start it for the first time because I would like all the air to get out of the system. I'm gonna go ahead and start the bike up, keep a close eye on the temperature, and yeah, this is the moment of truth. Let's do it. Got the radiator cap off. I'm gonna go ahead and squeeze the lines here. Help get air bubbles out of the line. Let it circulate. Go ahead and do it on both sides. Alright, so we just ran the bike. Everything looks like it's going great. Went ahead and squeezed the lines, and I also tipped the bike over left and right to get the air out of the lines. Now what I'm going to do is take the gas tank off, because I'm going to get to that bleeder screw that's underneath the gas tank here. Make sure that we're getting good coolant flow. So our bleeder screw is actually right on top of that thermostat housing that we were just at not too long ago. So let's go ahead and grab our screwdriver. What we're going to do is go ahead and loosen that coolant bleeding bolt while the bike is running and make sure that we get a steady flow of coolant. Alright, so we got a steady stream of coolant flow. That's great. We tighten that back up. Let's go ahead and put our gas tank back on, and then we're going to let this thing really get up to temperature. We're going to see if we get the fan to kick on at about 220 when it's supposed to kick on, and not let it get over that if for some reason it's not kicking on. And then after that, we're good to go. We're going to go ahead and top the coolant back off with some more coolant, make sure our reservoir is filled up, and man, it's really exciting. Everything really worked out good there. Well, we got the fan to turn on. It didn't turn on till almost 226. That is awesome. All right, hell yeah. What a win, man, what a win. Listen, I know it's such a simple project for a lot of people, but the fact that we just got the fan to work, everything just went so smoothly, I'm very happy. I've been working so hard to try and make this as perfect as I can for the next owner. Yes, what a big win. What a big win. Oh man, so excited. All right, well, time to finish up the project. Finish it up. Well, that's going to conclude the final part of this Gsxr build series. A lot of hard work was put into this build, as you guys can see. So thank you guys so much for watching and supporting the channel. I'll see you guys in the next build.